Hey everybody, this is the Platinum Knight, and today I'm gonna be showing you my PS3 games. PS3 is one of my favorite systems of all time. I believe I've been collecting PS3 games for about maybe 7 years now. So yeah, I'm gonna show you all my PS3 games individually. Okay, starting with the first stack of games, I got Black Ops 1. I actually got this not too long ago at Comic-Con Revolution 2019, and I got that for $5 brand new. And I haven't had time to play it, so that's why it's still sealed. But yeah, $5. I think that was a good deal. I got Star Wars, the complete saga. This actually isn't really mine. This actually belonged to a friend and he just left it here one day. So yeah, I have Lego Star Wars, the complete saga. Up next is Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, which people debate that this is probably one of the best collections in one disc of all time. There is a Sonic Genesis collection on PS4 also, but many people would say that this is the better version. I have Assassin's Creed, the Ezio trilogy, which this was the collection that I was really hoping would get me into the Assassin's Creed series, and unfortunately it just didn't happen. I really thought that I would like these games because I've been hearing how good they are. But for the most part, I just can't get into the Assassin Creed game seriously, people. Like, I'm sorry. But at least this is proof to you guys that I tried. We got Heavy Rain. Pretty good game. This was the game that got me into interactive games, and it was one of the very first titles that really like solidified me getting into games that allow you to have choices. Next, we have the add-on content pack on Borderlands 2. Again, this is not really mine. This used to belong to my cousin. There was a point where my cousins were kind of homeless and had nowhere to go, so they had to move in here. And of course, they brought some of their games over here, and this is one that they left behind as soon as they got their own place again. But this is pretty much worthless. The add-on content pack to Borderlands 2, it doesn't even come with the full game. This is pretty much like an expansion pack. I have Crysis 2, the only Crysis that I've ever played. And this is a really great game. I've heard a lot of great things about it from one of my favorite YouTubers, and he recommended his subscribers to try this game out. And I did not regret it whatsoever. Hans Zimmerman actually did the soundtrack for this, and I loved it. But yeah, guys, try out Crysis 2, if you ever get a chance. And of course, I got Little Big Planet 2 and Little Big Planet Game of the Year Edition. I mean, I used to be a big fan of Little Big Planet, but then it got to the point where, of course, I got bored and I moved on to something else. But for the most part, I had a lot of good times building my own levels. I used to make some levels that I published not too long ago, actually. But for the most part, I didn't really do too much with these games. This was when games actually came with an instruction manual. But if I had to say which is the best Little Big Planet, obviously Part 2 because it's got more advanced features. I actually have Little Big Planet 3. I got it for free from PS Plus, but I don't really play it. I have GTA 5, which, again, this is not really mine. This is another one of my cousin's games that he left, which, the hell? Yeah, they left their copy of GTA 5. What the hell is this? NBA 2K13? Holy shit, that was so long ago. And what's this? MLB 12, the show? Oh yeah. My cousins are big fans of sports. They love sports games and in real life. So yeah, they're into sports games, and I guess they didn't have the cover, so that's why they decided to put it in the GTA 5 case. Rage, man, this game really disappointed me when it first came out, and I did my best to love it, and I just couldn't get into it. I'm fully aware that Rage 2 recently came out in 2019, and people have been saying the same thing. They're saying that Rage 2 is one of the worst games of that year, and it just wasn't all that fun. It was boring, and it wasn't really all that entertaining. And so that's why I don't think I'm gonna bother with Rage 2 anytime soon. I got Vanquish. This is another game that one of my favorite YouTubers recommended. And once again, he has really nice taste in video games. This is one of those games that sadly became super underrated and didn't really make that much money. It was made by Platinum Games, believe it or not. And yeah, this game is so much fun. I mean, if you guys can get your hands on it for dirt cheap, then I recommend you try this out because it's a really great game, and I really wish Platinum Games makes a sequel one of these days. Vanquish 2. This is mine for sure. Grand Theft Auto 4. I believe I got this almost right when I got my PS3. So if you're wondering why this doesn't have the DLC, this is pretty much the standard edition. And in my honest opinion, I don't know, guys. There's just something about the older Grand Theft Autos. I actually wrote down some cheat codes. I don't know. I mean, when it comes to the HD universe of Grand Theft Auto, I like them. I like how they are a little bit more on the serious side. But I don't know, man. There's just something about the older 3D GTAs that I like a little bit more. But for the most part, I still think that the HD Grand Theft Autos are good games. But for the most part, I wouldn't say GTA 4 is my favorite. I got Dead Space, which this really isn't mine. This is my uncle's. And for whatever reason, he just decided to leave it in my collection. He has not really claimed it back. What is this? Oh, oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that Dead Space had cheat codes. SOCOM 4, I kinda have a very interesting story. I forgot what exactly did I do. Oh yeah, now I remember. I remember I had Killzone 3 by itself, and I got the Killzone Trilogy collection, you know, the one that, where, it comes together. But, I remember getting that, and, before I got the Killzone collection, I actually had Killzone 3 by itself, so I was trying to get rid of my copy of the standard Killzone 3, and I told a friend about it, and he said, well, how about I trade you? And I asked him, well, what do you have? And he had SOCOM, and I decided, well, okay, so why don't we trade? So he got my copy of Killzone 3, and I got his SOCOM 4. And you know what? When I look back on it, I don't really regret doing that trade, because SOCOM 4, it is pretty much a bland third-person shooter. But it's still decent though, and since I kind of got it for free, I guess I can't really complain too much. I have Mirror's Edge. I believe. Oh yeah, now I remember. My uncle actually bought this game for me. I forgot what birthday. I think it was either my 17th or my 18th birthday. Yeah, he actually got me the very first Mirror's Edge um, for my birthday on eBay. And that was so sweet of him. And even though it's not in the best condition, as long as the game still works, and I appreciate him for doing so. But yeah, my opinion on Mirror's Edge, it's I still would say it's a underrated game. I don't know why. EA eventually made a Mirror's Edge sequel, Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and I played some of it, and I just did not like it. I didn't like how it was a reboot, and it had nothing to do with this game whatsoever. So that was a big mistake. I have Modern Warfare 3, and like I said in my Modern Warfare review, this was the last time I ever purchased a Call of Duty at full price. Now some of you may be wondering, well, where is the disc? Well, the thing is, I actually know where the disc is, but the problem is, when my PS3 was starting to break down, the last game that was in it was Modern Warfare 3. And when my PS3 broke, my copy of Modern Warfare 3 was still in there, and there was pretty much nothing I can do to get it out. I could always take my fat PS3 apart and get the disc out, but for the most part, I haven't really had time to do that. And if you look at the cover, you can really tell that I played the shit out of this game. What else is in here? Next is PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which was a huge missed potential for PlayStation to have their version of Super Smash Bros. I believe my mom actually got me this game on Thanksgiving, believe it or not. And I think it's a good game, but it lacks so much variety. Hopefully, PlayStation slash Sony decides to make a sequel, you know? They should try again. Make a PlayStation All-Stars 2, and this time have Snake in it and have all kinds of characters like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Okay, trying to get another stack here. What else? Alright, we got the Jack and Daxter collection, HD remastered. You may notice it is sealed. I have never opened it before. This was around a time when my PS3 was starting to break, and I had a lot of games that I have not played or finished yet, and this was one of them. I didn't get a chance to play the Jack and Daxter collection, and so I just decided not bother opening it because I didn't have a PS3 to play with it with. Uh-oh, stack of games falling. You know what? I'll cover that later, because I want to talk about the Uncharted games together. Metal Gear Solid 4, once again. Would have to be my number one favorite game of all time. Like, I'm not even joking. And I know that's not really a popular opinion to say. Many people will say Metal Gear Solid 1 or 3 is their favorite. Metal Gear Solid 4 would have to be my favorite simply because of the story. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have the best gameplay, but for the most part, the story is a lot for me to say to be my number one favorite game of all time. Next, we have the Doom 3 BFG edition. This is the one that comes with all three Dooms. It comes with Doom 1 and 2. And I gotta say, I really enjoy Doom 1 and 2. Especially the first game. But for whatever reason, like, I don't know, man. I just didn't really like Doom 3 all that much. I mean, it feels a little bit outdated, I guess. I don't like how this version, if you press the sprint button on the stick, you actually have to hold it. You can't just press it once and then move and start running. You have to hold it. So that kind of killed it for me. But for the most part, the Doom games still hold up very well. I got Beyond Two Souls, another interactive movie, the same makers of Heavy Rain, also written by David Cage. You know, I find it hilarious how it says only on PlayStation, but now that it's out on PC, that's not the case anymore. Oh, that's right. My mom actually got me this game. I mean, Beyond Two Souls, I like this game. I can see why a lot of people hated it. But for the most part, there are a lot of things I like about it. I will say I do like this slightly more than Heavy Rain, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, once again. I love the very first Modern Warfare. This was the last time I thought the story was great, and I just played the living shit out of multiplayer. I have the Ratchet and Clank collection. This is another one of those games that I wasn't really able to complete due to my PS3 finally breaking down. I managed to get halfway into the first game, and then that's when my PS3 suddenly died. So, oh well. What's this? Ratchet and Clank, size matters. Oh, this is the one, wait a minute, what? Oh, I don't even know what that is. I thought it was the actual PSP game. I probably do have it somewhere, but I don't remember where it is. I have Uncharted 1, Drake's Fortune. I have Uncharted 2, Among Thieves. And I have Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, which out of all the games in the trilogy, I would have to say Uncharted 2, or out of the whole series, Uncharted 2 would have to be the best Uncharted game out of the entire franchise. Like, I will say Uncharted 4 is still a masterpiece, but here's the best way to put it. I love Uncharted 2 the best for its gameplay, and I love Uncharted 4 more for its story. I think Uncharted 4 has the best story, and Uncharted 2 has the best gameplay. There is lots to do in there. And when the multiplayer was still active, I really enjoyed it. I really miss the co-op mode, and I hope one of these days Naughty Dog can bring it back. Uncharted 1, I believe I got this along with my PS3. It was an Uncharted bundle along with the system, and this was one of the very first games that I played on PS3, and it was a really good impressions. Not for resale. Oh, come on. Kiss my ass. I can do whatever I want with my games. Uncharted 3, I will say, I recently went back to play it, and even though I think this is the weakest out of the whole series, it's still a pretty good game, but a little bit of a hit and miss with me. Here's another stack. I have Dead Island Game of the Year Edition. I believe in my PS4 collection video, I have the remastered collection, but I kind of have a very somewhat of an interesting story about how I got Dead Island. This is the Game of Year edition, and originally I was trying to get the standard edition for brand new, dirt cheap, and we went to GameStop because, yes, this was around a time when I used to go to GameStop, and this was pretty much the final straw on how shit GameStop actually is. I remember I really wanted to get the standard edition, but the thing is, though, the price of it was a little bit high. So what I did was, hey man, was there any way you can reduce the price? Cause I only had $20, and the standard edition was only $25. And once again, their standard editions were not brand new. So obviously the guy said no, and I went to Walmart, and believe it or not, I actually got the Game of the Year edition instead for $20, brand new. It came with all the extra DLC, and it's hilarious because that Walmart that I went to was actually right next door to GameStop. So that pretty much tells you their prices are not exactly all that reasonable. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which a lot of people say this is have to be the weakest out of the series. This game also isn't mine. This belongs to my cousins when they had nowhere to go. So they pretty much left this game behind. I've never played it because I'm not really the biggest fighting game fan, but I still have it. I like how Wesker is in it. Call of Duty World at War. This is another game where I actually got as soon as I got my PS3 along with Modern Warfare. If in my opinion, I think this is still the best World War II Call of Duty of all time. The WW2 Call of Duty, you know, the one, I forgot what year it came out in. I didn't even bother with that Call of Duty. I pretty much forgot about it. I even forgot to mention it in my Modern Warfare review, so that should tell you how much I give a shit about that game. But no, this is still the best World War II shooter. I liked the story, I just liked the multiplayer and how simplistic it was. I also played the Wii version of this, and it sucked. The only reason to play the Wii version is with motion controls, but what sucks about the Wii version is it's got glitches, it's got more bugs, it's got missing missions, and it's got missing maps, and it doesn't have the tanks. So at the time, I thought that this was the best version. BioShock Infinite, in my opinion, to this day, I think BioShock Infinite is actually the best BioShock out of the whole trilogy. Now I know that's also not a very popular opinion to say. Many people will disagree and say, no, part 1 is the best, no, part 2 is the best. I just like BioShock simplicity and art direction. I like the story the best, and I don't know, I just love BioShock Infinite. It's one of my favorite first-person shooters. This was actually the game that got me into the whole series. I have the God of War saga, 5 full games, which that's very dishonest because the Origins games are actually downloadable with a code. And I was very disappointed too how it was not on disc, because there is an Origins collection disc, but they just didn't want to put it in here. So this is God of War. God of War 1 and 2 are in this disc, and if you flip it, God of War 3 is all on its own disc. But for the most part, I'm still happy to have this. I got Resistance 3, and you know, I like this game. It's pretty good, but the thing is, though, I don't really like playing by myself. And at the time, because all my cousins used to live with us, live in our house, I got this game and I played by myself. And I remember one day when I realized that this game was co-op, I asked one of my cousins, hey, do you want to play with me? And we just ended up having a blast with this game. But I don't like playing by myself. I mean, it's okay, but for the most part, if you have a friend or a family member that plays video games, I would have to say this is one of the best co-op games that you can play, and only on PlayStation. Sorry guys, it's a little bit difficult. South Park, The Stick of Truth. This also is not mine. This is actually my cousin's. But I do have the South Park collection that comes with both games on PS4. It comes with The Stick of Truth and The Fractured Butthole. Fallout 3. This is also my cousin's. But this wasn't my cousin when he used to live with us. Like, I don't know, for whatever reason, he just left his copy of Fallout 3 here, and I don't know why, and he hasn't really taken it back yet. But from what I understand, a lot of people want to say that Fallout 3 is still the best in the series, a lot better than Fallout 4. Especially Fallout 76. Resident Evil 5. This was one of those games that very, very disappointed me. Like, I was super disappointed. I remember being hyped. I remember, like, dying to play this game, especially after playing Resident Evil 4 and how masterful that game was. And of course, Resident Evil 5 didn't live up to the hype. But you know what? I will say it was very fun to play online with random strangers. Sheva's AI, everybody already knows this. I hate Sheva's AI. It kind of ruined the game for me. So I can understand why people like Resident Evil 5 for the co-op, but for the most part, playing by yourself kinda sucks. But it is still a good game though. I wouldn't say it's horrible. It just didn't live up to the hype. Sleeping Dogs, again. This is another game that belongs to my cousin. I never bothered to play it, so it's just in my collection. Ni no Kuni. This is a game where I thought about playing it, but once again, due to my PS3 break-in, I didn't get a chance. And for the record, it is in a protective case for no reason whatsoever. I even still have the receipt. But I did get this brand new on the first day. But it sucks how as soon as I was feeling about playing it, then that's when my PS3 decided to die out. So, oh well. I got the God of War Origins collection, brand new, unopened. And the reason why I actually got this not too long ago, but the reason why I got it is because of the God of War Saga collection. Has these games in a downloadable code. I decided to get this just in case, you know? It's better to have a physical disc which means I pretty much own most of the God of War games. The only God of War game I don't have is Ascension, but for the most part, I still can say that I technically own all 5 games. And of course, I have the masterpiece, The Last of Us. It's actually been a very long time since I played The Last of Us on any console. But yes, I am one of those people that bought The Last of Us on the first day when it came out on PS3. And I love this game. But the more that I think about it, and because I haven't played in a while, I am a little bit worried if this game aged well or not, especially with the hype revolving around The Last of Us Part 2. I don't know. And oh my god, this was around a time when Sony was doing these stupid online passes. But if you got the PS4 version, if you have PS Plus, you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I love this game. Far Cry 3. This is a game where I really have been dying to play for so long, but I never really got a chance. Like, I just didn't have the time for it until one day, I forgot what Black Friday it was. Me and my cousin went to a Black Friday, I think maybe in 2013 or 2014. I remember seeing this game on sale for just $10. And believe it or not, I actually could have possibly found the last copy. I was constantly digging and digging trying to find this game until I finally spotted it and said, yes! And the other guy next to me actually heard me say that and asked me, so that's what you've been looking for. But yeah, I just got really lucky. I got this game for $10 for Black Friday. And what is this? What? I actually... Wait, I wrote this? I actually gave myself a note for my future self to show on camera? Oh, wow. So it was on Black Friday, 2013. Wow. I can't believe I actually left myself a note. Wow. Even I surprise myself sometimes. I got the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. I believe I got this cheap at GameStop. I'm surprised it doesn't have the label on it. It comes with the instruction manual and everything, so that's pretty cool. And I have the Killzone trilogy, and this is what I was talking about earlier. As soon as I got the Killzone trilogy, I got rid of my standalone copy of Killzone 3. And I will say, this is a very nice collection. I like this. I like the Killzone games. Killzone 1 and 2 is in one disc. And Killzone 3 is on its own disc. And you know, I mean, a lot of people like to shit on Killzone 1 for how choppy it was. But the thing is, they actually did remaster the first game very well. They didn't just make it 1080p, 60 frames per second. They actually fixed it. So it's no longer buggy, it's no longer laggy or glitchy. Out of the whole trilogy, Killzone 2 would have to be my favorite. probably one of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. A lot of people like to give Killzone 3 a ton of shit, and don't get me wrong, I kind of understand why, but I will say Killzone 3 is another game where I think the co-op is its strong point, which is kind of ironic seeing how the same thing goes to Resistance 3. So, a third installment in a trilogy with good co-op modes. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. I have Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. To this day, I have still not found any time to play this. Maybe someday I will review it, but right now, I just don't have the time. But for the most part, from what I have heard, a lot of people say that it's still a fun game, but it is really short. So, I'll form my own opinion someday, since I have it. I have Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. I had the Sly Cooper collection, but it wasn't really mine. I actually had to borrow it from my uncle. My uncle has the Sly Cooper collection, so I ended up getting Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time. This was when Sony was really pushing the PS Vita with cross-buy, and I think that was a smart move at the time. But it is brand new. I have not opened it. Once again, this is another game that I ended up not playing because my PS3 broke. Originally, I wasn't really planning on doing this, but you know what? I wanted to do something nice, and another reason why I want to show off my Nintendo 64 collection is because I don't really own very many N64 games, so I just thought that I might as well show them off here and now because I can't think of when I'm going to be able to show these off anytime soon. But yeah, I tried to collect N64 games, and the problem with collecting these type of old school games is they are way too expensive to collect. So that's the reason why I stopped doing it. But you know what? I'll show you what I got and what I was able to get. This is Doom 64. It's a very good game, but I don't know. When I tried to play on my uncle's N64, I thought the game was a little bit too dark. I don't know if maybe my uncle's TV settings were a little bit off. I mean, yeah, my copy of Doom 64 is not in the best condition, but the game at least works. And for the record, you may be wondering that none of my N64 games are in their original boxes. So I had to get these custom-made ones on eBay, and they do a pretty good job holding the game itself. I got Super Mario 64, one of my favorite childhood games of all time, probably my favorite Mario game of all time. Some of you may be wondering, did I get the instruction manual with the box? No, I haven't. 'Cause you see, I'm the type of collector that likes when things feel complete, you know? So that's the reason why I stopped collecting Nintendo 64 games, because I had to buy all three things separately. I had to buy the game, the manual, and a custom box all separately. And, you know, I mean, maybe one of these days if I have just a little bit more money, I might go back to collecting these games, but right now, just not anytime soon. Um, I have GoldenEye 007. This game, it doesn't really hold up very well, but to me, I had some fun with it. It's still a good game, and it's still a classic, but for the most part, I'm still happy to say that I own it, you know? And once again, I bought the instruction manual separately. Um, yeah, I'm surprised how well some eBayers take good care of their stuff, and how most of the pages are not torn up. The cartridge is in good condition. I believe I actually got this at Comic-Con Revolution for super cheap. The same thing goes to Doom 64. I actually got that game really cheap at Comic-Con Revolution for 2018, I think. I can't remember. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. One of my top 10 favorite games of all time, along with Super Mario 64. In my opinion, I still think this would have to be the best Zelda out of the whole entire series. I know some of you will disagree with that. That's okay. I also have the instruction manual. The seller, you can almost tell that he most likely found this out of nowhere and just decided to sell it on eBay. But for the most part, when it comes to the game itself, I actually got this from Comic-Con Revolution for like $5, and it's not exactly in the best condition, but like I said, as long as the game works, I'm happy. Last but not least is my N64 version of Resident Evil 2. I believe I actually showed this in my Resident Evil game collection video, along with my uncle's collection. So yeah, that's how, if you were ever wondering why was my copy in a weird box like this, it's because I got it custom made from eBay, and I have the instruction manual / booklet. I mean, Resident Evil 2 is one of my favorite REs, so that's why I had to get the N64. But another reason why I just had to get the Nintendo 64 version is because I like how they removed the tank controls. I thought that was interesting. I like how you get to choose what color blood of the zombies you want. I like how they added a randomizer. And so, in my opinion, this would have to be the most unique version of Resident Evil 2. and so I'm very happy that I own it. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's about it. If you actually made it to the end, thank you for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed watching me showing you my N64 collection and my PS3 games. I might make another video game collection just like this. Maybe I will redo my PS4 collection video since it has grown over the years. But like I said, I still don't know when I'm gonna do it since I'm currently working on two big reviews. But yeah, guys, if you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and peace out, everybody. Have a good one.